Welcome to another golden age upon earth. America, we love you. A message from the Unveiled Mysteries by the Ascended Master Saint Germain, Vegetarian, Part 2 of 2 on Words of Wisdom. Guy Warren Ballard was a United States mining engineer and co-founder, together with his wife Edna Ann Wheeler Ballard, of the I Am spiritual movement, inspired by his life-changing meeting with the Ascended Master Saint Germain. One morning in 1930, Mr. Ballard, led subconsciously by his inner spiritual longing, went on a hike on beautiful Mount Shasta, located in the western US, where, according to legend, a group of divine adepts reside or could be seen. His sincerity and deep longing for the truth led to a profound experience that day. He was blessed by the appearance of the beloved Master Saint Germain. Following this enlightening encounter, Mr. Ballard devoted his life to spreading the Master's wisdom according to his capacity. From Master Saint Germain's dictations and teachings, Mr. Ballard wrote a series of books under the pseudonym Godfrey Ray King. Master Saint Germain's imparted spiritual knowledge was the basis for many lectures given by Mr. Ballard, as well as for the founding of the I Am religious activity in the early 1930s. By 1938, it had up to 1 million followers. Today, the volumes documenting the valuable mysteries revealed by the Ascended Master to Godfrey Ray King are still a fascinating spiritual gem for many across the globe. The three most famous volumes are titled Unveiled Mysteries, The Magic Presence, and the I Am Discourses. Ascended Master Saint Germain is deeply venerated among the Theosophical Society as he represents the establishment of the Aquarian Age, an era that we are privileged to be witnessing. He is also identified with the Count of Saint Germain, a mysterious European figure who possessed a great inner knowledge and was called immortal by some due to his everlasting youth. We will now continue with the captivating selection from Godfrey Ray King's book Unveiled Mysteries. Following is an interesting interpretation of the real purpose of gold on earth, as well as a memorable depiction of a scene from a great past civilization as witnessed by Godfrey Ray King on one of his many journeys with Saint Germain. Excerpt from Chapter 2, The Sahara Desert. Gold is one of the most important ways by which the energy from our sun is supplied to the interior of the earth and the balance of activities maintained. As a conveyor of this energy, it acts as a transformer to pass the sun's force into the physical substance of our world as well as to the life evolving upon it. The energy within gold is really the radiant, electronic force from the sun acting in a lower octave. Gold is sometimes called a precipitated sun ray. As the energy within gold is of an extremely high vibratory rate, it can only act upon the finer and more subtle expressions of life through absorption. In all golden ages, this metal comes into plentiful and common use by the mass of the people, and whenever such a condition occurs, the spiritual development of that people reaches a very high state. In these ages, the gold is never hoarded, but instead is widely distributed into the use of the mass, who, absorbing its purifying energy, are themselves raised into greater perfection. Such is the right use of gold, and when this law is consciously understood and obeyed, the individual may draw any quantity he desires to himself by the use of that law. Because of the gold deposits in all mountain ranges, one finds health and vigor in life upon the mountains that he cannot find at any other place on the earth's surface. No one ever heard of detrimental effects coming to those who constantly handle pure gold. While in its pure state, it is soft and wears away easily. Still, That very quality is the fulfilling of this purpose of which I have just spoken. The more advanced of these people produced much gold by precipitation direct from the universal. The domes of many buildings were covered with sheets of pure gold, and the interiors decorated with brilliant jewels in curious yet marvelous designs. These jewels were also precipitated direct from the one eternal substance. As in all ages past, there was a portion of the people who became more interested in the temporary pleasures of the senses than in the larger creative plan of the great God Self. This caused them to lose consciousness of the God power throughout the land until it remained active in little more than the city itself. The capital was called the City of the Sun. Those governing realized they must withdraw and let the people learn through hard experience that all their happiness and good came from the adoration to the God within, and they must come back into the light if they were to be happy. The King Emperor, through the inner wisdom, seeing that the people were becoming still more deeply enmeshed in the sense gratification, realized that it was no longer the divine plan to further sustain the kingdom. He was instructed by those of greater spiritual authority than himself to give a banquet announcing his decision to withdraw, and thus bid his subjects farewell. He called the councillors together and gave directions for the banquet, ordering it held in the most magnificent place of the empire, known as the jeweled room in the king's palace. This was lighted by self-luminous globes that emitted a brilliant white radiance. They were suspended from the ceiling by chains of crystal. While the light within was intense and brilliant, yet it had an extremely soothing effect upon the body, giving those in its radiance a sense of great ease and calm. The light from the central globe set the jewels ablaze in the sunburst design that formed the great medallion in the middle of the ceiling. The large banquet hall was elaborately decorated and set with 24 white onyx tables, each seating 24 guests. This was the first occasion upon which all the king's councillors and their staffs were to be his guests at the same time. The announcement of the banquet caused much comment among the people, who discussed it thoroughly, each with his neighbor, but to all it was a mystery, for none was able to discern its purpose. The evening of the event came at last. No one suspected the sorrow within the heart of the noble ruler, nor did they dream of the change so soon to come upon them. The hour arrived, the guests assembled, and everyone breathed mystery. The great bronze doors to the banquet hall swung majestically open, and a burst of transcendent music, as if played by a gigantic symphony in the invisible, came forth, surprising even those who knew the tremendous power of their adored monarch. He was looked upon almost like a god by the people. So great was their love and admiration for the wisdom and help he constantly poured out to them. As the triumphal music ceased, the king entered, accompanied by his children. The girl was a vision of loveliness. She wore a gown of soft golden fabric, unlike any material of our modern world. The overdrape appeared as if covered with diamonds, for with every movement of her body, points of light flashed forth. The golden hair, falling over her shoulders, was caught with 2 emerald clasps. On her forehead was a single band of white metal set with diamonds. In the center was what appeared to be a large diamond, but was really a powerful condensation of light, focused and maintained there by her father. The king was the only one in the whole empire who was entrusted with the use of such transcendent power. The royal family had never used these jewels of light in their contact with the outer world until that night. Such use of this power was only permitted in their private worship of the great God Self of whose supreme presence they were keenly and constantly aware. The ruler and his two sons wore form-fitting garments of the same soft golden fabric as the daughter. These were as pliable as leather, but made of metallic gold with breastplates like a great sun of jewels. They wore sandals of the same material, also set with precious stones, and the wonderful jewel of light rested upon the forehead of each. The king gave a signal, and the assembled guests were seated. In a voice majestic and powerful, he poured out an invocation from the depths of his heart to that infinite Supreme One. O thou mighty omnipresent Source, thou who dost govern the universe, the flame in each human heart, we give love, praise, and gratitude unto thee, for thine own life, light, and love in all things. We adore thee and look only unto thee, the presence in all things visible and invisible, evolved and unevolved, thou ceaselessly flowing stream of life, who dost forever pour thyself into all creation, the one self in all. My heart calls unto thee as never before, to arouse these, my people, to their danger, for of late indifference to thee is creeping over them like a poisonous breath, producing a soul sleep and drawing a veil before them that shuts out thy shining presence. If they must have the experience that consumes and burns away the dross and clouds of the outer self, then do thou sustain and at last bring them forth in thy eternal perfection. I call unto thee, thou creator of the universe, thou supreme omnipotent God. For more information on the Ascended Master Saint Germain, the I Am teachings, and Godfrey Ray King's books, please visit stgermainfoundation.org. Fortunate viewers, it was an honor to have your company for today's Words of Wisdom.